Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma, also known as Made in the Moment. And today I'm going to be showing you how to add knit ribbing to a crochet piece. I personally like doing this just because I like the look of knit ribbing, and I also like the process of knitting ribbing more than the process of crocheting ribbing sometimes. But I also like being able to have the option to choose which one I want to do. This is a fairly beginner-friendly technique, so if you are confident and ready to go, then you should be fine. If you like this video, then feel free to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok, but that's all I have to say. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. So the first thing you're going to do is take your yarn, you're going to make a slip knot, and then you're going to insert your hook into the edge that you're going to add the ribbing to, put the slip knot onto the hook, and then pull that through and sort of tighten that up. Then you're going to chain one and make a row of single crochets along the edge. You want to put about one stitch into each row. So as you can see, as I'm going up vertically, up the sides, some of the rows it's easy to see where I'm putting that into, and some of the rows it's a little bit harder, but basically you want to be putting it into those little holes kind of near the edge. It doesn't have to be exactly one stitch per row, but what you do want to make sure is that your stitches lay pretty flat on the edge. So if you put too many, then it will sort of ruffle, and if you put too few, then it will kind of pucker in. We will do some decreases once we add the knit stitches in order to make the armhole come in a little bit, but for this you just want it to lay pretty flat. So you're just going to go all the way around the armhole until you have put one stitch into each row, and after you do that, I will show you what to do next. And once you get back to where you started from, you're going to do one last single crochet and then insert your hook into that top of the first single crochet and slip stitch through those two loops. Next, you're going to kind of pull up that stitch a little bit that's on your hook and switch over to your needles and insert your needle into that loop. Then you're going to stick the needle through the top of the next single crochet, and you're going to yarn around. This is going counterclockwise, and then pull that through the top of that single crochet, and repeat that step for the next stitch and the next stitch. And what I like to do so that the ribbing comes in a little bit is I like to pick up a certain amount of stitches and then skip a stitch. So the number you choose will depend on what kind of ribbing you're doing, if it's 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, and it will also depend on how much you want the sleeve to come in. I would say a good standard is pick up 6 stitches, skip 1, and then pick up 6 stitches again. If you're doing a 1 by 1 rib, if you're doing a 2 by 2 rib, then I recommend 4 stitches, skip 1, 4 stitches. Basically for 2 by 2 ribbing, you want to make sure that whatever number you have is divisible by 4, and I find that this is just the easiest way to count for me. And then for 1 by 1 ribbing, as long as it's divisible by 2, that's fine. And then you're going to just repeat that all the way around. So I've picked up 6 stitches, and then I'm going to pick up a few more. I might not make it all the way to 6, but as long as my number ends up being divisible by 2, then that's fine. And I have made it all the way around now. So I'm going to insert my needle into that first stitch and knit, and then move the yarn to the front and purl. And I'm just going to repeat that until my ribbing is the length that I want it to be. For this project, I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 rows. And when you're ready to cast off, there are multiple options. I'm going to show you the sewn tubular bind off that I like to use for 1 by 1 ribbing. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but if you want a more in-depth video on it, I will link the video that I watched to learn how to do this. So you're going to start by taking a pretty long length of yarn. I like to make sure it's about 2 times the circumference of what I am binding off. So then I'm going to take my yarn needle and thread that. And I'm going to start by taking the yarn needle knitwise through that first knit stitch, and then going through the front, skipping 1 stitch and going through the front of the stitch at the top of the next knit column. So then you're going to pull that tight and insert the yarn needle purlwise through the next stitch, then skip 1 and go from back to front, and then loop around knitwise into that next stitch. And just repeat. So knitwise into the top of the knit column, skip, go across, then purlwise into the top of the purl column, go from back to front and around. And I repeat that all the way around. And here is how I do the last few stitches. So I'm going to repeat the same steps, insert through and around, go knitwise through here, and then I'm going to skip to the top of the next knit column that's already been bound off and do the same motion after that as well. And then tighten that all up, and I am going to tie it off. Make sure that knot is really nice and tight, and then I'm going to weave in my end. And I like to weave in my ends by sort of looping them around the back of the purl stitches on the wrong side and going in one direction and then moving back in the other direction to just really secure the end. And that's it, you're done. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.